Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action.
Hi, y'all. This is Jerry Williams, a.k.a. TV Jerry, back from vacation. Bowtie Cinemas has reworked their under-17 admission policy. They'll now allow kids with parents to shows starting after 7:30 p.m. Here's the comment from Joe Masher, COO of Bowtie Cinemas. We've received overwhelmingly positive feedback for our age policy. However, our guests would like to be able to bring their families to shows after 7:30. With the number of family titles coming out, we've reacted to their requests and are now allowing each adult or guardian over 21 to bring 2 children with them to any show. The adult or guardian must accompany the minors to the show and remain with them till the end. Meanwhile, in case you hadn't heard while I was away, Movieland's Criterion Cinema, which has been sitting dark since COVID, is being prepped to be sold for a restaurant or other venue. Despite this, Movieland continues to feature plenty of art and indie films in the big building.
Oh, I was in line and I ran into Jerry Hall. And then I said, wait a minute, if Jerry Hall is here, and I turned to the right and there was Rupert Murdoch. And I introduced myself to Rupert Murdoch.
That was Kevin Kravitz with one of many stories about meeting all kinds of celebrities, from actors to musicians to comics. Since high school, Kevin has spent his entire life gathering photos and autographs from all manner of famous people, and he'll relate some of the highlights in today's interview.
Sifter Review of the Week.
Bupkis on Peacock. Pete Davidson's reputation as a druggie and all-around slacker is well established. His numerous girlfriends and other incidents have overshadowed his genuine abilities. This series, which he co-wrote with friends from his other work, examines the life of a somewhat real Pete, along with moments of absurdity to up the entertainment value. Actually, his maturing skills reminded me of an early Woody Allen, an awkward New York personality with a sharp understanding of humor, storytelling, and cinematic style. Edie Falco and Bobby Cannavale provide solid support, with Joe Pesci as the grandfather, adding humorous insight and a welcome return to the screen. There's also a continuous parade of cameos with some very funny moments, including Jon Stewart, John Mulaney, Ray Romano, and Kenan Thompson. In grappling with all his foibles, Davidson demonstrates an ability that cuts through the comic clutter to unveil unexpected candor and depth, creating a funny but also sweet series. Promisingly, it ends in such a way that a second season seems inevitable. I gave Bupkis 4 out of 5 stars. Kevin Kravitz, do you remember the first time we ever met?
Yes, I certainly do.
I do too. What do you remember about it?
I saw you on television, but I was at a movie theater. I forgot what the movie was I saw first, but the second was a preview of the movie Rocky. Does that sound right?
It was actually at the Ridge Cinema. And I remember I was sitting there, and I don't know who I was with. I was talking to somebody, and maybe the movie that came up, maybe the trailer was for Star Trek, because we mentioned, I said, I can't remember the director. He did Sound of Music, and he did West Side Story. Who's the director? And you were sitting right in front of us, and you turned around and you said, Robert Wise.
Robert Wise, yes.
And that was the first time we ever spoke that I'm aware of. So.
And we've had a friendship for many years. I guess it's the Star Trek movie.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, a long time ago. Is this Kay Lazar? Is that all just a fictional fantasy that you created about yourself? I never changed my real name. And when I went to college, I was on the radio station. And there were already 3 Kevins already there. And I thought, well, might as well just change my name altogether. Then 4 years later, I was in Ireland on a radio station, and they thought that Kevin Kravitz was a little too Old Testament for Irish listeners. So I changed my name then to Colin Morrow. Wow. I was Sandy Knight in college when I was at the VCU radio station. My name was Sandy Knight. It was nighttime.
Nighttime with Sandy Knight.
That's right. So the thing I know about you, besides the fact that you're obviously a serious movie buff, is that you also love to meet famous people and get your mug shot with them. Do you even know how many you have?
No, because half the people don't know who half the people are.
Well, of course.
A movie buff. I have a picture on there at the Biograph Theater, if you remember in the day, with Paul Bartel. Now, most people don't know who Paul Bartel is, but a lot of film buffs know who he is.
I know who Paul Bartel is.
You know who he is.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Footnote.
Paul Bartel was an actor best known for his 1982 comedy Eating Raoul. So since you have this obsession with celebrities, who was the first one you met, and what do you remember about that?
Well, when I was a kid, I actually was like 5 years old, and I heckled from the audience at a Smothers Brothers concert. My dad took me to see it, and they actually answered back.
Do you remember what you said, or did just a random?
Nah, it's just 5 years old. I didn't know. I was never at a concert before. And then they became very famous on television. This shows you how old I am. But then actually meeting a celebrity, I met Buddy Rich. He was a famous drummer for the Tommy Dorsey band. And then he became I saw him on the Johnny Carson show a lot. And he was very charming and everything. And funny. And then he came to my high school.
And where was that?
Well, I went to Tucker High School, Tucker
here in
High
Richmond.
School.
Okay.
Yeah, in Richmond, yeah. And then let me tell you something. I made a point through high school to I had a Super 8 camera. You were very helpful in supporting me with my ventures and everything. Now I would take film of concerts. I'd meet people, famous people, and stuff, and try to stick them into my movies so people would give it some. And there's Isaac Stern, the famous violinist, appears in one of my movies. Who else? Neil Diamond, people like that. Red Skelton.
Now, when you mean they appear? They didn't actually appear knowingly. You pulled something of them that you shot and put it in your movie. Is that right?
Yeah, but they were film I took. And I did meet them. And what's kind of funny about it was I really got into making films, and they're all nice to me. And what was weird was so many people didn't believe me. Oh, you're making that up. I would get autographs out. Your dad signed that for you and stuff. And so once I had the film and the pictures and everything, people started believing me. And I like to think I was starting a trend, because ever since then, people do selfies with celebrities. I got all the old school celebrities, and I still see a few. But for the most part, most of the people, I don't see myself spending $300 to see Taylor Swift.
Well, you're right, because nowadays they do. Nowadays, if you want to do it, because I've done that, like Randy Rainbow recently in Charlottesville, and you had to pay extra money just to sign, say hello and get an autograph. And I don't ever do that either.
I tell you something though about that. You're thinking, I'm thinking maybe like the Comic Cons and stuff. I kind of eased up on that, because recently I found out that I was spending like maybe $100 or something in those days to see a Broadway show, then waiting after the show to meet the people. But now when you go to the Comic Con and maybe pay $100, you don't see the show, but you do it's guaranteed you're going to meet the people.
Right.
So
right.
Just this year I got to meet John Cleese and William Shatner. And so I wouldn't have gone to the Comic Con for one of them, but I went to the Comic Con for both of them.
So what are some of the most interesting experience you've had trying to get somebody to give you a picture and or an autograph?
But believe it or not, it's been very easy for the most. They're usually very pleasant. I'm usually prepared. I usually have the camera ready. I usually basically all they have to do is turn their head and get the picture. Right. Autograph, actually, they have to stop everything and do something. But for a photograph, they could do it on the way to their car. By virtue of the fact that everyone in those pictures are smiling and with me, I've had no problem with anybody. I went to a Las Vegas show and I saw all these celebrities. I saw Bruce Willis, and I saw a lot of fighters, a lot of athletes. Tommy Lasorda was there. The craziest thing was that same day I saw Chevy Chase, and he was the only one that was kind of nasty. And he was nasty to everyone. I found out he's nasty to even people he works with. The craziest thing was that he was with Mel Gibson, and famous, who turned out to be a famous anti-Semite. I also, before the troubles, I met that same day at the prize fight, Buster Douglas and Vander Holyfield. That same day I met O.J. Simpson.
Wow.
And I met Bill Cosby, shook their hands. I met Mel Gibson, and all the canceled Chevy
people. Chase.
All the terrible people, or it turned out to be terrible people, and they were nice to me. So I don't like to dwell too much on the people that were mean to me. Like in real life, I don't like to dwell on those people. I get pictures taken with everybody, all my friends. Every once in a while, a picture of myself shows up by myself, and they say, "That's a weird picture. I've never seen Kevin pose by himself in a picture."
Surprise guest drop in.
Is this the place for Taylor Swift tickets?
It's funny. He just mentioned Taylor Swift a few minutes ago.
Footnote.
Brett Raper is a retired e-learning designer, former host of The Bunny Hawkins Show on Richmond Public Access Television, and a longtime friend of Kevin Kravitz.
I used to do a show on cable access, which I'll be doing again in a couple of weeks, Wednesday nights at 7:30. But it'll be on the internet, so you don't have to watch it live. But Brent is, has always been a part of my life, professional life, being helping me with shows and everything. And
we've been friends for maybe 30 years or more.
Yes.
And you've both been involved in, obviously, in public access television shows. Is that where you actually met?
It was around that time that we met that I was doing a public access show, and it was around the time of the start of Gorgeous George.
Footnote.
Gorgeous George is a public access show founded by George Yared in 1994. Brent's own show was The Bunny Hawkins Show, and they both featured Dirt Woman as guests, hence they were in my documentary.
And actually, I've been doing that show for a long time, for more than 20 years. I'm basically George's right hand. I'm his Ed McMahon.
Kevin and I have done a little bit of traveling, and one experience that comes to mind is back in 2012, I went to New York City and met up with my sister, and also met up with Kevin, and walked to the Madison Square Garden to see Leonard Cohen. And it was a great experience. It's a great memory.
So did Kevin force you to go backstage and get an autograph or a photo?
No.
I think
25,000 people there.
Leonard Cohen may be one of the few people that Kevin never got a photo with.
Usually a big venue like the Coliseum, Richmond Coliseum, or Madison Square Garden, or ballparks, it's very hard to meet.
Of course.
See the people. Comedy clubs, stage doors at theaters, and I usually don't bother people. If I'm in New York or London and I run into people, I usually just say hello to them. And I've never been shy about talking to anybody.
Well, that's obvious.
They're people just like us.
So, Brent, what else you got to tell us about Kevin?
Probably our major trip that we took a few years ago is we went to Cuba. Still, when it was a little bit sketchy to go to Cuba, we had a great trip. Got lots of photographs. And,
I guess nobody famous there.
Well, everybody's famous in Cuba.
We were at a restaurant in Cuba, and the guy kind of winked at me, and he said, "I know who you are." And I what's your name? And I said, Kevin. And he said, yeah, your name is Kevin. Yeah, I know who you are. And to this day, I don't know who he thought I was.
It's not beyond possibility that he actually knew the Gorgeous George show.
Well, that might be wild out of Cuba.
That happened.
So, Brett, before we let you go, got another interesting story or something about Kevin that people may not know? Or
I was going to mention the fact that a few years ago, Kevin's dad got a Medal of Honor from
the Army. He got the Bronze Star in World War II. He's still around. He's downstairs, actually. He's 96 years old.
Didn't he have something to do with James Lipton at some point?
My dad was he's from New York, but in the 1950s he was he was at a fencing. He was a fencing participant, and he went to a fencing school. And there was a guy. It turned out to be James Lipton.
Footnote.
James Lipton was best known as the host of Inside the Actor's Studio, which ran for 24 years.
And my dad would watch the show, and he goes, "I knew that guy looked familiar to me."
That's wild. That's crazy. Crazy.
I saw Kevin last night, and I managed to keep him from knowing that I was going to crash his podcast.
Great. Good for you.
Well,
thank you for doing that, Brent.
Don't miss him in the movie Dirt Woman, directed by a very good friend of mine.
Right.
And he makes a couple appearances in there, yeah.
Yes, he does. It's great. I haven't actually talked to you probably since we did that in 2018. So it's good to catch up.
I thought you did a remarkable job.
Well, thank you. I had a lot of fun with it.
Thank you, Brent. Thanks for coming by.
See you later.
Obviously, you sent me pictures of a bunch of people, and I know you have dozens of people on your website. What are some of the most impressive people that you got because it was an unusual get, or because they were in an unusual place, or you in an unusual place? What was something that people might find interesting?
Let's see. I was.
You were in Finland.
I go to Finland. I'm on a cruise ship, and I run into Marty Allen.
Footnote.
Marty Allen was a popular comic in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
And I see him. And he looks back at me, and we both smile. And then I had to walk up to him and start talking to him because I was so excited because I see this guy in my youth. We used the same hairstyle.
Oh, wow.
Marty Allen, bushy hair.
Yeah. Head. So what about some of the others?
There were people that actually the most exciting. I met people that are like Rosemary Clooney and Helen Reddy and Pat Cooper, the comedian. These were people that someone said, don't talk to these people. They don't like their fans. They're not going to be nice. And then I met them and they were very nice to me.
Oh, good, good. Some of these people you've met along the way, is there anybody that you stayed in touch with after meeting them?
I've met a few of them a couple of times, like Jackie, the late comedian just died, Jackie Mason. I've met, I think, Ricky Skaggs, the country singer. A lot of country singers and comedians are pretty good to their fans. Jazz performers are very good to their fans. I had a friend in college I went to college with. He was with the Dave Matthews Band, Boyd Tinsley, but you don't hear so much about him anymore. I think he was involved in a scandal. And then when he left the Dave Matthews, they used to be my favorite band. And when he left the Dave Matthews Band, I don't apologize for my friends, but I have to say, well, they're not my favorite band anymore.
There you go.
But the only friend I have that is a celebrity is Mary Badham.
Footnote.
Mary Badham was best known for playing Scout in the film To Kill a Mockingbird.
I was in a play. I'm an actor too, and I now do a lot of theater work with the Phantom Players in Chester and Chesterfield and Hopewell, and we did To Kill a Mockingbird, and she appeared in it as the narrator, the old Scott, Scout, and a little girl playing the young Scout, and I played Atticus Finch.
Wow.
And, she would tell me stories about old Hollywood. When I say old Hollywood, in the 1960s. And recently we went to my group of our that were in that show went to Washington to the Kennedy Center to see To Kill a Mockingbird. And she's actually come back to acting, and she plays the mean neighbor. And Richard Thomas, John Boy from the Waltons, plays Atticus Finch. This shows you my luck. We all go to a restaurant right after it, and him and his family is at the next table.
There you go.
I introduced Richard Thomas to my group and everything, and I told Richard Thomas, who was very nice, we're in a rarefied group of actors who have played Atticus Finch with Mary in the cast. There's you, me, and Gregory Peck.
That's a pretty impressive, isn't it? Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'm in that illustrious group.
Yeah,
yes.
Really. That's pretty crazy. So you mentioned earlier some of the hints. What are some of the best ways to try to get to somebody, to get an autograph or to get a photograph?
Try to look your best. Don't look like a slob, and be polite, and think of it as like a job interview, or a first date with somebody. That's you want to put your best. Smile, be approachable. I was in New York with a friend of mine, and I just happened to go into a store just as Dr. John, the jazz guy, was coming out.
Footnote.
Dr. John was a singer-songwriter known for his New Orleans roots and his most popular song, Right Place, Wrong Time.
He was all dressed in the robe and the big hat and everything. And I said, "Hey, how you doing, Dr. John?" I shook his hand and went in. And then my friend said, "Oh, I thought that was some homeless guy you befriended."
Have there been some other times when you've just happened to be someplace and run into somebody like that?
Oh, I was in line at a show in New York, a Broadway show, and I ran into Jerry Hall.
Footnote.
Jerry Hall started her career as a model and went on to act. She was notably paired with Mick Jagger before marrying Rupert Murdoch in 2016.
And then I said, wait a minute, if Jerry Hall is here, and I turned to the right and there was Rupert Murdoch. And I introduced myself to Rupert Murdoch. I'm not a huge fan of Fox News, and yet I have something a lot of people that love Fox News don't have, is I actually met Rupert Murdoch.
What do you do for a living? How do you afford all this?
I cut corners everywhere. I worked in insurance for 20 years and made a lot of money there. So and then I worked here and there since then.
So, obviously a lot of movies come to town. Do you ever try to get on the sets, either to meet people or just to work?
To work, actually. If you're an extra wearing a costume and everything, then you're ensconced there. You're there, and just last year I was in Dope Sick. Last year I was in Swagger. First thing I ever did was The Murder of Mary Fagan.
That was the first made-for-TV movie in Richmond. I remember that.
Yes.
I'm assuming you were professional and tasteful enough not to go up to any of those stars when you were on a set as an extra and say, "Hey, can I get a photo?"
It depends. It's end of the day. they what are they going to fire you at the when everyone has to go home and everyone's walking. Usually you make your move.
So have you done that? What was a move like that you had to make to connect with somebody who was here?
I met Jack Lemmon that way,
And you just go up to him and say, "Hey, Mr. Lemon."
yeah. Oh, Sidney Poitier. I didn't get a chance to meet Richard Gere and Bruce Willis on The Jackal, but I did get a chance to meet Sidney Poitier. And if you actually stop frame it, you do this on movies. You stop frame it when you know you're in it and try to find yourself in it. And there's like one shot of me in the same shot with Sidney Poitier. I was in Chicago on a train ride. And there was a 6-hour layover in Chicago. And so I started walking around Chicago and I came into a movie set and it was for Backdraft.
Footnote.
Backdraft was a 1991 movie about firefighters starring Kurt Russell and directed by Ron Howard.
And they said, "Do you want to be in Backdraft?" And so it was a parade scene at the end of the movie. And I saw Robert De Niro, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He had a part in there. And Kurt Russell, I didn't see any of those guys. And then I did get a chance when that part of the filming was over to meet Ron Howard, the director of Backdraft, who was a bigger star than any of them because everyone remembers him from
Happy Days,
the Andy Griffith Show and Happy Days. My Facebook page is for everybody. You just go and look at it, and so I want people to enjoy the pictures. I think of it as like my fan club or my publicity machine.
I will include a link to your Facebook page also, so you'll have that. So, I mean, a lot of these people are from old school.
Yes. In fact, some people complain, all you know is the old school people. Well, that's who I want them to see, I could see I can't keep up. I can't keep up with everyone on Netflix, everyone on Hulu, everyone on Apple TV. I barely could keep up on the networks and on what I can check out on YouTube and also what a movie theater. So a lot of people. I used to be I knew every celebrity or who they were. Now, if someone walked by me in New York, they could have been the star of a television series. I wouldn't know they are.
Yeah. The population.
That's why I don't read People anymore. People magazine, or I actually had to cancel my subscription to Vanity Fair and a few others, not because the magazines were lacking. It was just the celebrities they write about now. I've already read all about the ones I wanted to read about.
Yeah. So when you do have some time to sit around, what are you watching?
I tend to watch a lot of comedy shows, and I try to keep up with shows like you mentioned Succession. But I usually kind of late to the game to a lot of these shows. Better Call Saul and the Sopranos in the day. I mean, I really like those long. When you think about it, Sopranos is like a 75-hour movie that you could almost turn off at any point and just come back to where he picks up to keep going. I kind of like that idea for a show. What's weird is that your musical taste might change, or even your TV taste might change. But comedy is comedy, and usually comedians, whether they're old school comedians like George Burns or something, or the new ones these days like Sebastian Maniscalco or something, they're still. I mean, funny is funny, and they go. If you have an open mind, it's good.
Right. Well, Kevin, this has been fascinating. It's great to hear more about your stories and some of those people. And there's so many pictures on the pages. Some of them I recognize. Some of them I'm like, who the hell is that? But it's fascinating to hear about it.
Let me tell you something. I get in a lot of trouble when I told you about birthday pictures. When there's a birthday picture with somebody,
right?
They'll see a big girl, and they say, "Is that you and Roseanne Barr?" or they'll say, "I think these are insulting things." Or they'll see me with they'll see me with a guy, and they'll say, "Is that you and John Goodman or something?" I say, "Oh no, that's a friend of mine, and please don't insult him." Those comments I have to delete because I don't want my friends to.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Well, you got that energy that just seems to never end, Kevin. And I want to thank you again for being a part of the show. And I'm sure we'll run into each other when we least expect it. Say goodbye.
Every time I see you, it's a good time.
Good deal. Good time this too. Thank you very much, Kevin. That was Kevin Kravitz, who spent his life gathering photos and autographs from all manner of famous people. On the TV Jerry webpage, I'll have a link to his Facebook page with lots of photos and his YouTube channel with all manner of videos.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verses. This is a follow-up to the popular first animated version of the Marvel character. The Boogeyman, based on the Stephen King story and directed by Rob Savage. Sanctuary, a relationship between a man and his dominatrix gets complex when he tries to end it.
TV and streaming.
Vortex on Netflix. This French series features a cop who can communicate with his wife before her death, thanks to a time warp. Reality on Max. The 2019 play This Is a Room is created for the screen about an FBI interrogation. Stars on Mars on Fox. This wacky reality series puts celebrities on a fictional version of the Red Planet, basically Big Brother in outer space. William Shatner hosts. Little Richard, the King of Rock and Roll on PBS. This is the second documentary on the rock and roll legend. I Think You Should Leave on Netflix. Tim Robinson's sketch comedy series returns for season 3. You can subscribe to this podcast on all the usual platforms, or you can visit TV Jerry, click on the podcast tab, and there's a link. Next week, I'm breaking my own rule and featuring someone who is not on screens, but she was a popular radio personality and has written a new book. I'm talking about Rita Bentley, who many people know as Betty Bodine. She'll be here next week. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sifter, including literally thousands of reviews,
visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.